And I think we're good to go. Let's get this thing started today. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for showing up again to another episode of Ryan Kittleson Streams Sculpting and ZBrush. Hope everybody's having a good week. I'm having a good week so far. Just excited to get finished with this guy. I've been putting a lot of effort into him, and I'm just going to try to do the finishing tweaks on him today, and then get it prepped for 3D printing. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've been doing a lot of stuff with my 3D printer lately, a lot of freelance clients getting stuff printed. Um, it's good stuff. So yeah, feel free to type any questions into the chat, and yeah, we'll just have some fun sculpting today. Let's get started. Gonna finish up some of the coloration on this guy too. Just taking a leisurely pace, you know. There's no rush. Just get it done. It'll be done when it's done. That was too intense. Bring the intensity down on that brush, that paint. Just trying to airbrush some abs in. I'm going to do kind of two versions of this character. Like one version that is sort of made for rendering, and then another version that's made for 3D printing. So I think once I get the color version done that's made for rendering, I'm going to switch gears and make a separate version for 3D printing, taking into account some of the technical considerations of 3D printing and how things need to be made for that as opposed to for rendering. One of the big things I need to do with coloration here is to color match the head with the body. I made the body of the snake separate using a curve brush with a repeating pattern on that. So that's kind of an easy way to get that repeating pattern on the body. And then with the head, there is I made it separately and then connected the two. And so yeah, just got to get that coloration there. Currently the texture is, or the color is in a texture map. So let's see, I'm gonna have to divide this thing to give it enough pixels to be able to paint that, or enough polygons. And let's see, let's transfer this texture to polypaint. Let's try to do one more subdivision so we get a higher resolution result. Okay, that looks good. So basically from the body, just continuing up. Actually, let me just identify some polygroups here to make it easier. It's kind of a cartoony snake anyway, so I'm not going to be super concerned with making it, totally perfect. It's going to look a little sketchy. Original art's a little sketchy anyway. Who do we have watching the stream right now? If you're watching, go ahead and say hello in the chat. Hey, Slump XD, good to see you here. I was just curious because not a single person had put anything in the chat. I was wondering if I was even live. Hey, Sponge Bob. So I am live. Okay, good to know. Lurkers, nice. Nothing wrong with being a lurker. Hi, Blind Wolfie. Oh, that's cool, Sponge Bob. Glad my videos were helpful. What was the favorite thing that you learned from it? Oh, that's cool. I'm glad it was made it easy to start. It's definitely something I was going for. You know, I know that ZBrush can be intimidating to a lot of people. It could be difficult to learn, and yeah, anything I could do to help that process go more smoothly for people is definitely something I was going for. Did you watch it through lynda.com or LinkedIn Learning? So Vlad Alex asked if I did hair gen for these planes. No, I did a combination of just kind of manually. Well, so I made an insert mesh brush that had um, made this shape, and then I drew some of them out manually, and then I also used nano mesh to randomly distribute these along a surface. And yeah, that's how I distributed these. So some of it's random, some of it's intentionally placed, and so I'm going to go through. Some of them, you know, are floating a little bit. That's not going to work for 3D printing, especially. Um, and then some of them are kind of awkward the way they're positioned. So yeah, I'm just going to go through and you know, just make sure everything is nicely placed and positioned. So it's different from a hair card. I mean, it's not entirely different. I think with a hair card, you could use a similar technique, but instead of like a solid chunk of a scale, you would use a flat 2D or a flat plane, a single-sided strip of polygons, and then you would use a hair tether on that. So similar technique, actually. Actually, for this, I'm going to use the Move Topological brush with a brush size of 0. And what that does, it allows you to just grab and move single chunks of geometry all together at once. It's pretty useful. So you don't have to go like mask each individual piece or select individually. You just grab it and move it. Slump XD asks if everything in ZBrush start to end. A lot of the times, yeah. Every while I go to Maya, especially if I want to do a nice job retopologizing something, like for animation. It needs really good topology for animation. I like the um, sort of the polygon modeling tools better in Maya, give you more control, especially retopology. I think one of the biggest drawbacks of trying to do polygon modeling in ZBrush is that it does not allow five-sided or more sided polygons at any moment. And that's a lot of times you actually don't want five-sided polygons as an end result, but in the process of modeling, it's actually really useful to have five-sided polygons or six-sided polygons temporarily while you're working things out. And Maya does allow you to do that. ZBrush does not. And so um, that is something I would really like to see in ZBrush if they could do it. I just have a subscription to Maya, so I just have the most recent version all the time. But yeah, for the most part, I stick in ZBrush unless I have to do like um, if I have to do anything fancy with UVs like UDIMs or something like that. Also going to Maya for that. So useful for certain things, definitely. I mean, every once in a while I do some animation work too, so um, definitely going to do that in Maya. Yeah, I have a custom gizmo that I made, and it's you can get it as part of the Ryan's Tools Pro version. I'm gonna put a link here in the chat to my custom plugin. So if you get the Pro version, there's the custom gizmo, and I just like it better than the gizmo that comes with ZBrush. It's just easier to grab a lot of the different controls like scale. The whole thing is, easy to grab here, rotate screen spaces here, and then you can just see like scale, rotate, and move in single axes are just all aligned. So yeah, it works for me. I mean, obviously everybody's got their own preference, but I like how that works for me. So yeah, just trying to find little floaty bits here. Put them somewhere where they won't be floating, so that when I 3D print, I don't have random little pieces floating in my print vat. Okay, I don't see any more floaters for right now anyway. Sometimes there's a weird like visual artifact so in Ryan's tools I have an instancing feature, so you can flip an instance. So um, these teeth are mirrored instances, and so any change I make to one of them, happens to the other. But when I have Booleans turned on, like live Boolean, and those instances at the same time, sometimes it makes a weird like visual artifact. So I just have to learn to ignore that instead of freak out and think there's something wrong with my model. I'm going to puff up his fingers a little bit more. I think the original concept art, he has puffier fingers. Just want to make a couple tweaks to his tail, kind of make the shape just a little bit nicer. And actually something else I should do is put a floor in so that so I can tell like where it's going to sit. So yeah, it looks like part of that tail drops below the floor, which actually is okay. I might be able to just cut it off. Looks like I've got part of his foot popping through the shoe too. Let me fix that. Okay, yeah, if I just pull up like a bit of his tail where it meets his butt just a little bit, I think that'll help him sit on the floor nicely. Looks like there's a bit of shoelace that'll need to be moved too. Okay, I'm just going to do a bit of sculpting now on the snake head, just to give it a bit more emphasis. I'm trying to think if I want to print this all in one piece or try to split it apart in different pieces for printing. I think so. In my experiments late with 3D printing, trying to assemble pieces that have been printed in multiple parts is a real pain. Um, but then again, removing supports from a complex piece is also a pain. So it's like there's no winning. It's always going to be a problem. I got some honey on my fingers from my tea. Oh, I must have moved something in that leg and caused these scales to get lost in there. Pull those back out. So yeah, I'm just going around part by part, just trying to see if there's anything else I need to tweak before I call this thing finished. All right, I like it a lot right now, so I'm just gonna say for right now, I'm gonna do anything more as far as modeling goes, and let's just try to do some renders, shall we? Let's see what this looks like if we render it out. Use the redshift built here in the ZBrush. Hey there, Ashpunk. How's it going? Okay, so I just kicked off a ZBrush render. Let's see what happens here. All right, it's preparing to render. So while this is rendering, I'll just do some chatting. I just got my first motorcycle a couple weeks ago, and I took it out onto some dirt trails because it's a dual sport made for dirt biking and street riding, and it's the first time ever doing anything like that. And I fell down several times. These trails were rough. Uh, I'm okay, but I definitely took some falls on the dirt. But it's fun stuff. Does anybody else do that? Here we go. We're finally getting some rendering happening. Oh, weird. It's not getting the Oh, you know what? I think it doesn't like the texture map on part of the shoelace. I need to convert that to polypaint. And I think some of the materials, some of the objects have non-redshift materials on them. I should probably make sure I've got redshift materials on everything. All right, pretty cool stuff. I'm just going to save a screenshot of this. Okay, yeah, so just a couple things I need to do. Make sure that this texture map is turned into poly painting, and then make sure I've got redshift materials and everything. But yeah, it looks like it's going to render fine. I'm actually going to move to some 3D printing stuff. So let's see. One thing I want to do for 3D printing right now, this pattern on the snake is all in poly paint. And I think it would be good to kind of take some of this pattern and turn it into texture map. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to mask based on poly painting. And then I'm just going to sink in a little bit where that has the darker pattern so that that texture that can come out in the 3D print. Oh, it looks like I need to do it to the other side too. Also, this pattern on the shoe, right now it's just like a bump map. I need to convert this to be actually a physical texture. So let's go ahead and get that done too. All right, something else we need to do is hollow it out for 3D printing. So what I can do, well, first I actually want to determine how big this is. Actually, it's about 5 units tall, 5 inches tall. Is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty close to the height I want to print it out at. So I'm actually going to leave the height the same. Let's see how thick this tongue is. So that is about 0.05 inches, which is a little over a millimeter, which is pretty close to the, I mean, that's at the thickest point, it's pretty close to the bare minimum you ever want to be printing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start like a branch version. This version is going to be for 3D printing now. I'm going to save like a separate file. And so for this, I'm going to just like thicken up probably shoelaces, tongue, teeth. Probably that's it. Oh, actually, while I'm at it, I need to do this part too. I just realized I want to puff this part out some more. So yeah, let's puff this up for 3D printing. Let's see how thick that is now. It's about 0.07 inches, which is almost 2 millimeters thick, which should be good for 3D printing. So yeah, I'll have to make these teeth thicker too. I'm gonna make the tip of this tail just a little bit thicker as well. And that should be nicely supported actually right there where that tail touches the wrist. And we'll make sure the shoelaces are thick enough. Yeah, that needs to be a lot thicker. I think I'm going to try to print it all in one piece, except for the tongue. Well, actually, no, that tongue might just print. If I just print it vertically, I might be able to just get that tongue just growing straight up and out. I mean, it's not the worst thing if I have to print it separately, but it's kind of like a self-supporting vertical structure. Got a little support there on the tooth. I'm going to try it. I'll just go for it. Actually, one thing I do want to do is kind of fill in the gap between the foot and the shoe, just so it doesn't create a bunch of supports inside that space that are difficult to remove. Okay, cool. So now I need to create a hollow structure. I'll hollow this thing out. Now I need to take every object that's currently an instance and make it locked in. All right, so this is just like all of the objects kind of merged together into one subtool and Dynameshed at kind of a low resolution. And so from this, I can use Ryan's tools. It's got a feature in there that creates hollows for 3D printing. And I don't know why, but the most like practical place to put the hollow is always the most hilariously inappropriate. Actually, it'll work really well to put a hollow right at the back of his neck as well. All right, so let's see, I can set the thickness. I'll set it to 0.06 inches, which is about 1.5 millimeters, and click hollow. All right, so you can see what this did is it created like an internal object that is exactly 1.5 millimeters inwards from the surface of the model. And just a couple things to clean up here. Just a few awkward bits. Just make that print solid. few awkward places where that inner surface kind of pokes through. Just want to push some of those back in. And so you can see now with the live Boolean turned on, that's poking through, or that's like hollowing out the inside of the object. Actually, there's a lot of ways in which it's poking through. If I fill this with red, you can see actually there's a lot of holes it's breaking through. You know what? I should probably do this, but not include the scales when I create the hollow object. The scales are kind of creating a problem. I'm also kind of thinking I should make the shoes separate and then stick them on, glue them on later. Because that way I could put hollows like at the bottoms of the feet and just cut the feet off, and that'll make it easier to print too. Because you want to have as many hollow openings as you can, honestly. That helps the printing go better. So yeah, I'm probably going to redo that. But that's the way it goes with prepping for 3D printing. You do like a first pass, you realize all the problems with it, you go back to the drawing board, fix up those problems, do it better the second time. All right, let me make sure these shoes can print by themselves. Actually, I'm going to undo those adjustments I made. Probably just going to cut these. Yeah, we're just going to cut these nice feet off that I made. But that's okay. So let's see for the shoes. Let's make sure the shoes can print by themselves. Okay, that's got thickness. How thick is that? Okay, yeah, it's about 2 millimeters thick. That'll print well. So if I'm printing the shoes separately, then the way these snake tails fit into there, or the snake body, let's see, I'll have to do that. Whoa, Ziggle. I think that's him. Zilgle. Wow, that's a good catch. Good eye. He is wearing two right sneakers right now. I should flip that one sneaker over. That is a really good catch. Wow, I didn't see that. Nice eye. Thank you for that. So let's see. I think all of these pieces can be mirrored. Wait, what is that? Oh, that's the okay, don't worry. I don't need to worry about that. I can delete that object. What else we got here? We got this. Yep, all these shoe parts. This entire grouping of shoe parts can be flipped. So I'm just going to go through them one by one and flip them, which is going to flip them to the wrong place, but then I can just move them all together back where it belongs. That's why I need to live stream more often. You guys catch things I don't catch. Put the floor object in here and just make sure that the shoe is going to sit nice on the floor. So hopefully when this prints, I can just stick those. Let me get rid of some of these. Those will be a little in the way. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of some of these that kind of flare out at the bottom. They'll just be in the way when I try to stick the foot in the shoe. Yeah, the rest of those should fit all right. Now I want to have a way for the shoe and the foot to kind of like lock together. I need to kind of think about how that's going to work. There should be some sort of like a matching, like a male female matching plug so that they just fit together. Okay, yeah, I know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to take this sole piece here and kind of pull up a plug that'll stick into the foot. Okay, yeah, that'll just go up into the foot. Yeah, and then I'll just have this shape cut out a hole inside the bottom of the leg, and that'll be a hole going into the hollow space as well. It'll kind of do double duty. So it'll be an opening to the hollow space, and it will be a plug for the shoe to plug into. So that'll be great. Just got to do the same thing with the other one. So the shoe will go on to the foot, and then I just have to make it, I think if I have the snake body just kind of floating, I should be able to plug it into a hole here. Might get complicated. Let's see, how thick is this body here? It's about 1.5 millimeters. That's pretty thin. I think I'm going to thicken it up just for the sake of practicality. Hopefully this snake body will have enough like bendability where I can just kind of bend it and get it into position. Might not even need to glue it. It might just stick there if everything works out right. It's a big if. But no, I've printed things about that thickness, about 2 millimeters thick, as kind of like wires, and they have some nice flexibility. So fingers crossed. I hope it'll work out. Let's see. We'll find out. I'll definitely share. Hopefully, it'll be all done and printed next week, so I can show you guys how it turned out. Next week, I'll be streaming on Thursdays, I believe. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Okay, so let's see. Let's move on to. Okay. Oh, I didn't get the. Yeah, the hat. Oh, you know what? I need to think about how the hat's going to go on there. Let's see, how thick is this hat? Might need to make it thicker too. Oh yeah, that's too thin. You add blood to its mouth. Fallen King of Bavaria. I think I might print the hat separately. Yeah, that propeller, oh, you know, I'm going to print the propeller separate, the hat separate, and then join them together. So that just creates too many complications, I think. I might even just make the hat so it doesn't attach to the head, but it just sits on the head. That way it can be like a removable piece. Yeah, that'll be fun. How thick is this? This is probably too thin as well. Oh yeah, that's less than a millimeter thick. I need to make that thicker. Yep, yep, you're right. The propeller is too thin as well. Yeah, this is gonna be. It's not gonna be too hard. With those stitches there, it's gonna be slightly difficult, but it'll be okay. a little over 1 millimeter thick on that. I'm going to make this thicker too. And then this propeller needs to be a lot thicker. Okay, cool. So let's see the hat. I don't need to worry about making the hat hollow because it's already hollow, but I will make the propeller a separate object, which means I need to make a hole for the propeller to stick into. So I'm using my Anycubic Photon M3. It's a resin-based printer. It's kind of a beginner's printer. It's my first 3D printer. It works pretty well. I mean, it only costs like 350 bucks. So it's definitely doing its money's worth. That's for sure. Not perfect, but pretty good. All right. I don't have a lot of time left, but I'm gonna go ahead and make a hollow object just to show you guys for just the gator himself. Oh, we don't need that. That's the old posed body. Okay, I need to make a duplicate of those shoe soles so those can be subtraction objects in the foot. You guys can't see what I'm doing right now because it's on my other monitor. But yeah, making these subtraction objects so they cut holes in the feet. And then I want to hide scales for this right now. Snake won't need to be hollow because it's thin enough as it is. I'm going to make this thing a little bit bigger so that it connects to the roof of the mouth. Cool, that'll be great. All right, so let's do a Boolean on just the gator body. Let's see what we get. Okay, cool. So we got the feet cut out. Looks great. All right, great. Let's make a subtraction object for this. So using my hollow feature in Ryan's tools, I'm just masking where I want the holes to go. Another awkward hole right here. And then I think I'll put another hole over here at the end of the tail. It's an area that is there's not a lot of detail there, and so actually you can kind of patch holes with resin after printing. So it shouldn't be too hard to patch that. And then I'll just get a hole here for the back of the throat. That'll help. You just want to put holes anywhere that makes sense to put them, anatomically or structurally. Actually, you know what I might do? Yeah, I'm gonna put holes in for the pupils. Just actually have these holes go straight through pupil. It's gonna be dark inside there anyway, because it's just a hole to the hollow interior. Now I'm running my Ryan's Tools hollow function. Boom, that's done. So now I'll make this a subtraction object. And let's see, I'll color this subtraction object red just to make it really clear. We can see like where the holes are. So you can see it's cutting through the pupils. Looks great. Oh, you know what? It's cutting underneath the tongue. I'm going to do something about that actually. Just going to kind of push that back a little bit. I'm going to make the tongue a little bit bigger so it make sure it contacts the bottom jaw. It just never ends. There's always something else. Yeah. Pull that down a little bit. Make sure that fills in that space there. Okay, looking good. We'll turn the scales back on. All right, now I need to get a copy of the snake body to cut a hole into the shoes. So I made that a subtraction object. So you can see that's cutting a hole through in the shoe there. So that'll be a space to stick the doesn't need to be as high resolution. And actually I can get rid of most of it because it just needs to cut that one part. Actually, I'm going to just expand it just to make it a little bit bigger. then the snake, so that when it fits in there, it'll have just enough room to slot in. We'll fill that red as well, just to make it so it stands out, easy to see that that's what's cutting. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of this texture on here too. All right, excellent. Hopefully this shoelace should print okay. I'm a little concerned the way it's kind of floating out in space. You know what? I'm gonna modify its shape so that it's more like supported. I'm gonna pull this closer so it kind of touches the rest of the shoe. Other programs to sculpt with for someone who is poor. There's a lot of free options out there. There's ZBrush Mini, I want to say, or I can't remember exactly the name, but there's like a version of ZBrush that's free, and of course it doesn't have all the full features, but it's definitely something to start with. There's Nomad Sculpt, which is not super expensive. There's Blender. There. Now all the shoe parts are kind of like touching other or shoelace parts are touching other shoe parts, so that should be much more supported when it prints. Currently I've got the snake in a different folder from the gator, but I should probably combine those. Well, actually no, I don't need to combine them. I'll just export those two. I'll Boolean those two separately, and then I'll just combine them in the same subtool before I export, and that way they'll just print together. When you've got kind of hollow sections that don't end in holes, sometimes that can create suction in the 3D print. And so I'm just going to get rid of these entirely. And it's not a lot of material, that I'll lose because of that. So I think it's okay. Might even do the same thing with the jaw, honestly. It's not a lot of material, and it'll just be that much better supported. Okay, great. So now I'm going to Boolean together all the gator. So this is what this will print out in one. Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot. Oh, never mind. Forgot to put the snake in, but I remember I was going to do that in a separate piece and then just combine them afterwards. Okay, so that's our gator. Did I have the gator body at the full subdivision? Nope, I wasn't at the highest subdivision level when I did that. I might want to do that. Let me just save it first. The gator is at like 20 million points, so uh, it's a lot to be working with. It might crash, so might have a problem. I might have to decimate it. We'll see. Looks like it totally corrupted the color, but that's okay. I don't need the color for 3D printing. Looks like it came out okay. They're overlapping, but I'm just going to combine the snake body and the gator body into one when I send it to print. Okay, looks pretty good. Now let's do the snake next. Cool, looking good. Yeah, the sneakers are going to be separate objects. And so now I've got this snake object, and I'm just going to merge it with the gator there. So now this is going to print in one piece. And then hopefully I can pull supports off the snake body without breaking it, and then stick this foot and and the snake body into the sneakers without causing a problem. And actually, here's something I should have fixed, but I'm just gonna like sand this down right here. Just don't want that to be in the way when I go to combine or put the foot in the sneaker. All right, so we got that done. Now let's do the hat. Oh yeah, I have to get a hole in the top of the hat to stick that in. All right, I'll make this a hole cutting object. So we'll do the propeller in one piece and the hat in one piece. Okay, cool. So the hat will print with this cut in it. And let me see, I want to make this cutting object just a little bigger so it'll definitely slide in. And then just a little dab of glue should hold that in place. And let's Boolean this together. Okay, cool. So we've got this hat, one piece, propeller, another piece. That's not going to be a lot. That's 1.5 millimeters. That's almost nothing. I think I'm going to need to make a deep, like more room for the two to connect to each other. So actually, back to the drawing board on this a little bit. So the inside of the hat, I need to build out some more thickness so it has like more room to receive a longer stem from the propeller. And then I'm just going to make this longer to go through that. Poke through to the other side. Okay, that pokes through. Good. That'll give us more to work with. Let's thicken up that cutting object a little bit more. All right, now if I turn this inside out, you can see we've got much more room there to play with. And that gives us much more room to stick that in. Cool, I like it. We are almost out of time. But yeah, this is gonna be the last episode on this character. Next week, I'll have a different character to start with. Surprise character. So actually, be sure you guys tune in next time because I'm going to do a little contest. Whoever can guess, I'm just going to start sculpting and not show what the character is. Whoever can guess first who the character is or the artist that designed the character will win a free copy of Ryan's Tools Pro. So be sure to tune in Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. All right, let's get the sneakers out. All right, so that's what that looks like. But whoa, something weird happened here. That's not cool. Why is it doing that? All right, well that's an issue to solve now. See if it does it on the other shoe. Oh yeah, there's a weird thing happening on this one too. What is causing that? Probably an object that has open surface. Let me look through my objects here one by one and see if there's anything weird happening. Could be this surface. No. Oh, it's this surface. This surface has no thickness. All right, well, just a couple things I need to tweak on my end to get this ready, but you guys have seen pretty much the entire process of getting this prepped for 3D printing. All that would need to be done is decimation, export as OBJs or STLs through the 3D print exporter, and load them up in the slicer software, send that to the printer, print them out, etc., etc. But I'll show you guys the finished product next week. Have a great one, everybody. Until